Welcome to the Speak and Get What You Want podcast, where you learn to communicate like the world's most successful leaders. Now, here are your hosts, TK Stratton and Chad Kirby. Welcome to the Speak and Get What You Want podcast, here with the great Reagan Moore. Reagan, excited to be with you today.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. You bring to these conversations, but especially as we talk today about 5 specific keys that people can leverage to skyrocket their growth on social media. Now, Reagan, you have quite a following on social media and you've built that. And I'm sure you've had a lot of experience with good things and bad things that you've encountered as you've grown your social media platform, specifically on Instagram. But Reagan, let's talk for a moment about what people listening can do. Now, first, before that, and I didn't prep you with this at all, but let me ask you this. Why social media? Why is it important for some individuals, especially those that are trying to grow a brand, grow a business, to leverage social media?
Well, it's your modern day storefront. Like it's how people find you. It's where, it's their first impressions of you are on social media typically. I mean, that's the day and age like we're living in today is someone searches your name on, Instagram as well as Google, as well as Facebook. It's when they're trying to find you, when they're trying to find your business, when they're trying to learn more about you. And so, it's important when you go to someone's social media account and you see what they have to offer and there's no information or there's no post, there's nothing, you kind of assume that they're dead, that they're just a dead business, that they're a dead brand. Like, oh, they probably, if their last post was back in 2023, then they probably aren't doing what they're doing anymore. So it's really important to keep up on it and um to really capture your vision in such a small little space, because it is how people perceive you for the very first time, and it's very valuable and it's very important.
It absolutely is, and it's interesting what you said there. It's your modern day storefront. I was actually talking to a friend who had shared with me that a mutual friend of ours was having a lot of success in their business, and I hadn't seen them on social media for the last year or so. And so I was like, "Wait, they're still in that business?" And so it's interesting you say that because he's potentially losing a lot of business because people don't even realize he's still in the business. And although he's having some success, he's hindering himself by not really leveraging that social media. So, but let's jump into we're talking about 5 specific things that people can do to or must remember as they're trying to grow their social media presence. So what not in any particular order, but share with us those 5 things they can do.
Well, I'd say number one is clarity. Number two is consistency. Number three is to
Well,
trust.
wait,
Well,
let's stop
I'm
there
just
real quick. Stop there for a second, okay? No, number 1, clarity. Okay, why do you say that?
Well, it's important to be clear, like, on who it is that you're talking to, because if
Mm,
you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. It's I've had my current account, my current social media account, back when I owned and did my own nail business, and then again when I was helping other nail techs grow their businesses, and now again as I'm pursuing um, this influencer route in Puerto Rico, it's it's gone to um, very different routes, I guess you could say. But one thing that I've learned as I've switched over and over again is that the clearer you are on who you're speaking to, the more those people will find you. So if you sit there and you say, "Hey, I just want any human, to follow me and to support me," they're not going to do it because they don't know what's in it for them. They're not clear on what it is that you're offering, right? Like they need to know exactly what it is that you're doing that will benefit them. Everyone's in it for themselves. And so they want you to be clear and say, "Hey, I'm here because I show you how to have fun in Puerto Rico. I show you how to support local businesses and, do these things." And they're like, "Oh, I'm living in Puerto Rico. I'm actually looking for more things to do like that. I want to support more locally. And so I'm going to go ahead and follow you." Right? It's the same with any brand. Like you need to be very, very clear on what it is that you offer and who it is that you're speaking to in order for those people to be able to identify themselves and say, "Hey, that's exactly what I want. Like I need to follow them because I want to be like them, or I want what it is that they have to offer," or so on.
Okay, and this is a huge point because I get this all the time when I hear people that are trying to grow their business, trying to be successful in the company they're working for or whatever it might be. They try and appeal to everybody, right? And they really lack that clarity. They don't really know their destination because they're like, yeah, yeah, I could do that because they're afraid if they uh pigeonhole themselves, and that is probably not the right word there, but if they close other doors, they're going to limit themselves. But you're saying, no, you focus specifically on a person or someone who will really enjoy your message, and that's when you experience exponential growth. And you said, Reagan, you said when you speak to everyone, you're speaking to no one. That's a difficult thing to really hone in on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult because you want everyone to feel included. You don't want to disclude anyone from your brand, from your content, from whatever it is that you're offering. And so I think a lot of the times when someone hears, "Oh, you should speak to one person," you need to get clear on your target audience and just speak to that group. Some people are, automatically think, "But I don't want other people to feel left out. I don't want them to feel like they can't also identify themselves with me and with my brand." But
Right.
it's crazy because actually the opposite happens when you start to get clear and you start to talk to one single person. Is that person feels seen, that person feels heard, that person feels valued, right? And they find you, they're attracted to you, and then you start to get broader and broader and broader from there, right? And you
Mm,
just create this community. You just start, it's just a starting point, but you always need to be clear on, like, getting very specific at the beginning. And then as you grow your business, as you grow your brand, it's okay to expand, as you're seeing that success roll in. And you're not discluding anybody. Those people that need to be seen and heard and want to, what it is that you're offering, they're going to find you and you're still doing a great work for them.
right. Right. I love that. And people will be like, well, I just want to be like Facebook, right? I want to be all things to all people. But people forget that Facebook started very, very focused with high clarity at Harvard, right? Then they went to college students, then they went to students, and then, and it grew from there. And now, of course, it's massive, but it started with that pinpoint clarity that they knew. And so that's huge. That's something that I think all of us listening really need to make sure that regardless of what they're trying to accomplish, that they have that clarity of who they really are speaking to, who they enjoy working with. And it's interesting. And I work with speak to a lot of attorneys, and I'll ask them, Reagan, I'll say, who's your ideal client? And they'll describe their ideal client. And I'm like, great, who do you spend your most time with? And it's not with that ideal client. But when you are really focused on who benefits with working with you, it's amazing. And not only that, you enjoy what you do a lot more.
Right.
Okay, so after someone has the clarity, what's the second thing?
So I feel like it kind of leads us into the second thing, which is consistency.
Mm,
Some people are say, they'll say, I don't want to talk to one person. I don't want to be clear on my one single target audience too, because I don't really know who that is. I don't really know who to talk to, right? I'm not totally sure what I'm doing. I just know I want to do something in this area. And so that leads us right into step number two, which is consistency. If you're not sure who your target audience is, if you don't know who you're speaking to, just show up anyway. Show
mm,
up and start, even if you have a broad idea, it might not look great at first. It might not be like picture perfect, right? But as you're consistent, you'll get clearer and clearer and clearer on who your ideal audience is. When I switched my business from helping nail techs, to, we moved to Puerto Rico and I decided to help support local businesses here instead, just because it was more sustainable for me and my family, as a mom of two kids. And as I switched that content, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, I know I like creating content. I know I want to have some kind of a business. I know I'm now living in Puerto Rico, no longer in Idaho. So I need to, do something here. And as just started posting my everyday life, whether it was just getting pan at the local panaderia, like at the local bakery, people started to resonate with that and they started to see themselves in that content. And then I noticed that was working. And I'm like, okay, that's working. Let me remake the same thing, at a different panaderia. Let's do this again in a different way, right? Let's
right.
bit and let's, maybe use a different hook. And I went back and forth with ChatGPT a lot to figure out, okay, what kind of content, give me some ideas. Like, this is what I'm doing. And then you just troubleshoot and you just figure it out. And then, but as you show up every single day, and as you just continue to put yourself out there, you'll understand who it is you're talking to and where it is that you're needed and what it is that you need to tweak a little bit. But you can't do that until you show up. So being consistent is extremely important. And it's a step you cannot skip because there are days too where you just aren't seeing the growth and success that you want. But 30 days, 90 days from now, someone's going to
Mhm.
be like, hey, I saw something 30, 90 days ago. And I, made a note of it. I was like, oh, cool, like that person. And then I saw you again, like 25 days later. I saw you again yesterday, and I finally was like, all right, I'm going to follow them. What are they about? Why do they keep popping up on
Right.
the page? So, and if you weren't consistent like that, you would lose out on a potential client, on a potential, audience member. But
Yeah, it's crazy because everyone will show up and say like, "Well, I'm going to do this," and whatever it is, that consistency, like podcasting, and how many podcasts actually make it to like 10 episodes, or so few people are willing to be consistent in whatever they do. And I know you're talking about social media specifically, but this is life. Like, be clear on what you want, and then show up consistently, and even when you don't feel like you're getting the traction that you are hoping for, it doesn't happen overnight. And
yes.
I've heard Dave Ramsey say that he was an overnight success 20 years in the making, right? And so it's like, wait, I want to hit that level of success, but it really is that consistency that gets us there. Okay, so then what's number three?
Number 3 would be to trust your gut. You just need to trust your gut. That's such a big thing because people all the time are like, they try to make something work, and it's like banging your head on a wall. It's like a fly, Like if you're sitting there and you're just trying to make something work because you think it's the right thing to do, not because your gut's telling you it's the right thing to do, you're like a fly trying to get outside through a window, through a closed window.
Right,
You just continue
right.
to bang the window over and over and over again. And you just can't do that. You can't do that. That's not healthy. It's not gonna get you anywhere. I did that for so many years. So many years as a nail tech trying, okay, this person's doing this trend, this person's doing this. I'll just do that as well and it'll work for me too, right? When
Mm.
I do, I was like, oh, this doesn't feel like me. This doesn't feel like my brand, but it's working for them, so I'm just gonna try it, right? And then I was scared to do what I actually wanted to do because it was a little out there. Nobody was doing quite, making that kind of content yet. And so I didn't do it, where I feel like I missed out on a big opportunity back then as a nail tech to grow my following, years ago when I did that, when I had my business in Idaho, because I was just too scared and because I didn't trust myself enough. So trusting your gut, uh, putting yourself out there, doing what you feel like what you feel is right, and then
Mm.
just repeating that over and over again, and it is amazing. Like, I've been shocked as I've been in Puerto Rico and as I've been doing this, this new business, as I've just done whatever the heck I wanted to because it felt right and it felt good to me and it felt authentic. I have seen major success that way, much more success than I saw when I was trying to, copy other people as a nail tech.
I love that. I love that. That is awesome. Okay, so really trusting your gut. If it feels right, then go that direction. Even if you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm putting myself out there. And I guess trust your gut, Reagan, aligns a lot with vulnerability too, because when you are trusting your gut, you're willing to be vulnerable. You're willing to go like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna put myself out there, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it, even if other people will, maybe critical of you. And by the way, you're gonna get, negative feedback,
Oh,
right? That there was a great marketer that I know by the name of Dan Kennedy, who says if you haven't irritated somebody by noon every day, you're not marketing well enough, right? And so there, trust your gut, even when you may get some negative feedback. That's key. That's huge. Okay, so
yeah.
then what's number four?
Well, to go off of what you said real quick, just to like, even if you get negative feedback, I think since I've just started, I've seen rapid growth within the last probably 2 months. and I've been trying to do this social media thing for 5 years. And one thing I've noticed a lot in the last 2 months since I've seen this rapid growth is that I block at least 10 people a day, at least like a bare minimum.
Wow.
And the other day,
Wow.
I had one post that just blew up, and I blocked 1,000 people off of that post. But and then I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, is this wrong? Should I not be doing this? Is there too much? Because you've got to listen to your audience. And if they're telling you, hey, this is bad, we don't like this, then there is part of you who, if those are your trusted people, you need to say, okay, let's take a step back. What am I doing? Like, what am I doing that's offending, the people that I need to trust me? But
Right.
the difference is, I also gained, I think, 5,000 followers, right? In that same span, right? Like on that
Sure.
same day when I blocked 1,000 people, I gained 5,000 people. And so I noticed, like, you got to evaluate your margins too and say, okay, how many negative comments am I getting? How much positive feedback am I getting? Right. And so from the people I trusted and who were in my community, it was all positive. It was all positive feedback, positive comments. For every 100, positive ones, there was one negative one. And so it's important to evaluate too and just say, okay, do I need to change something here, or is this just a part of being on the internet? Like, this is
Right.
because there's two different things there, and one of them, it's most likely just because you're putting yourself on the internet, and they're just grumpy people on the internet. But um, that is something that's important to know. But number 4,
I
I
love that. No, I love that. That's so good. But you have to understand that you will always have people that are trying to discourage you. In fact, just real quickly, I was talking to a young man years ago, a few nights ago, and he said to me, he goes, "Chad, I really would like to accomplish this." And I said, "Then go do it. Get super clear on that's what you want to do. Trust your gut, to your point." And I said, "But remember, when you know where you're going, when you're trusting your gut and you're showing that direction, don't be surprised if a lot of people are negative towards you, because people that know where they are going irritate people that don't." Right? And so when you have clarity, when you're consistent and you're trusting your gut, doing those three things that you just mentioned, will irritate people that are sitting in mediocrity, because they're like, look, I don't feel comfortable wallowing in mediocrity when you keep being active, when you keep being consistent. So what can I do to really deter you a little bit so that I can feel better about wallowing in mediocrity, right? So what you're saying is, I just block those 1,000 people that, just want to be haters, and embrace the 5,000 and go full speed ahead.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I
there's
love
always
that.
going to be opposition.
Okay, so number 4.
Number 4, I'd say, is to just be human. Like, it kinda goes back to what we were saying a little earlier, to not be a robot, to not it's fun to, like, hop on a trend and to do
Mm,
something, and you put your own spin on some kind of trend, but to copy
yeah,
someone over and over again, it's just not fun. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to watch the same person 15 times, as they follow all these different people. Like, it's fun when someone's themselves and when they're creative and when they're just human. Like, some of the best videos I've had that have done the best are when I just hopped on and I was just like, well, I got this like loaf of bread. It's so good. I'm gonna try it. Wow, this is amazing. And it's just like raw, real, like no
right.
editing, no filters. And people are like, oh wow, like, oh my gosh, that's my favorite. Here, you should try this place next. This is blah blah, right? And it's gonna be different with every brand, right? Some
Totally.
you do want like the cool editing and different things. But even with those, it's important to just like to own you, to own who you are and to just to be you, which also leads us to number 5, number 4 and
Well,
number
well,
5 are
wait,
really
wait,
similar.
don't go to number 5 yet. Wait, just a sec. Just be human. Be
Yes.
real. I mean, we're here on a podcast, and you keep getting notifications or something on your phone. Is
I
that
my laptop dings, uh, when I get a notification, and I don't know how to turn off the ding, and so I
No,
need to
that's great.
figure
No,
that
that just means you got notifications coming, but you're being human. It's like, that's the reality. People will embrace the human aspect of it. Like, oh, I just got 3 text messages during this podcast or whatever, right?
yes.
That's okay. That's okay. Just be human. Don't everyone like when you're human, people will feel relatable to you. And I know that's why I've talked to people about your Instagram, and I've talked about people about your success, and they'll often say Reagan is just very real. And when people are saying you're very real, it's just you're being human. Like you're just being a human being, and people will be attracted and want to follow you because they're like, "Oh wait, she's navigating this world just like me." Right? People can't relate to someone who is so robotic and comes across as perfect, right? And by the way, no, everyone knows that no one's perfect. So when you pretend like to be not a human, but to be superhuman, everyone knows that's not real.
No, that's true. I was talking to someone. There's a brand here in Puerto Rico. They're called La Isla Flow, and they create content. They have a newsletter. They just people will hire them to talk about events going on in Puerto Rico or to go review their restaurant or. And I've become good
Right.
friends with the lady who is in charge of this Isla Flow thing, and she was telling me. She said, "You know what's funny?" She goes, "The cheapest restaurants are the ones that perform the best on our content." She's like, the ones that don't cost people the most amount of money. She's like, it's crazy. It blows my mind. She goes, we went to this fancy restaurant the other day. We got paid to do this whole review on this really nice restaurant here in Puerto Rico, like where you'd come on vacation. You got the ocean front view, all that stuff. She goes, and the video performed okay. Like it did all right, for us. She's like, but then she went to this food fair, this food festival, and she got these specialty fries. She decided to try two different kinds. She decided to try sweet potato and then I think just like a normal potato with some crazy flavor on it or whatever. It cost her what, like $10 total for both fries. She said that video went viral. Like everybody wanted these fries. And she's like, what the heck? Why do the cheapest food places get the most views? And I was like, because that's where everybody can eat. Like that's where,
Right.
people love fries. Like that's exactly what it is. And so it's just when you're more relatable, when you're able to be like, hey, like, this is my real life and it's not perfect, but it's good and I'm still happy and, whatever, then people like that and they're attracted to that. And they're like, okay, I'm going to follow this person, or I'm going to engage with their content because I feel comfortable sending them a message because I feel like I know them versus,
Right.
oh,
And
they're,
everyone can relate to French fries. Like that's a very human experience. Not as many people can relate to, a caviar tasting, experience. And so I love that. I love that being human.
yeah.
Okay, so then number 5 is
To just be you. I know we keep hitting this like, throughout the other points, but overall, that is like the umbrella, most important statement at the end of the day is to just be yourself. Like, just regardless of the negative comments, whatever the heck comes at your way, just don't forget to be you. And sometimes you need to take a step back from social media in order to remember who you are and
mm,
get off your phone, take a step back and say, okay, who am I? Take time doing what it is that you love, your hobbies, like take care of your body, take care of yourself, and then get back on social media, post what you need to post, and don't scroll for hours, and don't get caught up in that whole imposter syndrome. Oh my goodness, maybe I should make content like them. Maybe I should do this. No, just be yourself. Everything is going to work out and everything is going to be okay if you are yourself and if you are trusting your gut.
I love that. I love that. Just be authentic. For years and years I've coached people on, communication and how to speak, and people will ask me, they'll say, "Chad, okay, we'll be in a training session and they'll say, "Chad, when I get up and speak in front of a group of people, can I put my hands in my pocket?" And I go, I don't know. Do you normally put your hands in your pocket? And they're like, "No, I never do." I said, "Well, then don't do that, right?" He's like, "Well, do you do that?" "Well, yeah, I do it all the time." Then do that. Just be authentic to you. People when especially when I'm training the speakers to go up and speak publicly, they'll try and become something that they're not. And when you are just authentic and you get up in front of a group of people and you are your authentic self, yeah, of course, there's certain strategies that I teach them to engage the audience. I get all that, but people need to be just completely authentic, and then people will gravitate towards you.
Yeah.
People will connect with you. There's power in that. And I love that you saved that one for last, because I think authenticity should really govern everything across the board. People want to connect with authentic, real people.
Amen. I one little bonus tip too, but you were talking and you were just saying people will be attracted to you when you're authentic, when you're real. And as true and as like factual as that is, it's also important, a little bonus, number 6 tip here, to remember that not everybody will be for you too. Your
Mm.
people will be attracted to you and they will come to you and they will follow you and engage with you and message you and whatever. You'll build a community, but you will have people who don't like you and you will have people who don't resonate with what it is that you're offering, and you will have people who don't want to follow you and don't want to engage with you. And that's okay. Like it is okay. And if they're mean, block them. Right? You do not have to engage with those people. And that will not hurt your brand. That will not hurt you as a person. That won't hurt your community. And that won't hurt the other person who doesn't like you either. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, and she's not losing sleep at night because I'm not a Taylor Swift fan.
I I
Seriously.
love that. I love that. Reagan, when I was years and years ago, I was selling insurance. And one of the most successful insurance guys I'd ever met was getting up in front of a group, our group, speaking to us. And someone asked him, and they said, how are you so successful? And he said this. He said, early in my career, I was sitting at the dinner table with a couple to talk through their insurance needs, and they were mean to me. They were degrading to me. And he said, and I was struggling and I just needed this client so bad. But then he said, it dawned on me that I don't have to work with them. So then he stopped them as they were being rude to him. He stopped them and he said, you know what I love about my job? And they're like, huh? He goes, you know what I love about my job? And they said, what? And he goes, I get to choose who I work with, and I choose to not work with either one of you. And he closed his book and he walked out. And he said there was such an empowering feeling that came upon him that he's like, no way. And he parlayed that into massive success,
Oh, that's
because he's like,
awesome.
look, I don't have to listen to this negativity. I don't have to. I get to choose. You get to choose who you work with. You get to choose your life. You get to choose your outcome. And I love that you ended with that bonus, which is a great reminder and helpful to all of us, Reagan.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chad, for having me back here again. It's always an honor to talk to you.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
really love our conversations.
Love your insight. Love what you shared. Have a tremendous day, Reagan. You're traveling today. You're getting on an airplane, leaving Puerto Rico, heading up to Arizona. By the way, regardless of when you're listening to this podcast, this is not the time to visit Arizona. It's a little warm, but travel safe, Reagan. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye now.